Hello and welcome back to another session of serde-yaml. It's Byron speaking, and it's a Saturday, and I think I took some time doing everything else because I'm also quite afraid of what's coming now. In the previous session, we have basically just done the document-related stuff, which is really easy. In fact, even though it turned out to be a bit more cumbersome to implement than I thought it would be, but maybe it's just me always thinking about cycles and heap allocation and trying to prevent them. So what you can see here is me putting a single line break, which can be 1 or 2 bytes, in 2 calls to the writer, which is also then encoded accordingly. Right now we only support one way of encoding, basically UTF-8, which is still relatively fast. But this gets optimized away as long as we just support one encoding. But if you have multiple ones, every write will be quite some effort. But that's okay. We don't optimize anything. We just want to get this to work, which is the main goal here. I'm just saying the code I see here, it will be, this will not be the fastest thing. But this is what YAML is. YAML is full of options, and this is why JSON is relatively easy to implement. There's not much to it. So what I would like to do now, or probably in the upcoming sessions, because probably one session will not be enough to do this, at least not for me, is to implement a function that allows me to serialize a scalar value. The thing is that if you look at this online YAML parser here that I use for testing, you can write it like this. You can write it like this, or just provide nothing, or do it like that, right? Or you can do it like that, or like that, or like that. And we have a way to specify this actually. And how do we arrange white space? That's a question as well. And all these things are kind of unknown to me right now. And I think what I would want to start with is the flow mode. What you see here is flow mode, and you can or cannot provide an explicit tag. And you can provide it in plain mode, or in single quoted mode, or in double quoted mode. And both way, or all the ways of doing it, kind of allow you to write YAML in a canonical setting, which is what you see here all the time. That's a bit more complex, but it's still kind of the same thing after all. So, and right now I start with just putting in a single value, which is null, or could be any floating point or whatever. Because that seems to be easiest. Something to remind myself of is that in flow mode, all the values here, even the plain ones, can be split up onto multiple lines. Believe it that this is actually a valid a valid thing? No, I think something is wrong here. This shouldn't be valid. It seems not to update. Null. Yeah. It seems that in the moment you specify null here, it just doesn't care about the value that comes next. I think that's what this tries to tell us, because that value here is not actually null. Yeah, I think that's an optimization at work here. Because that thing really doesn't try to interpret that value here at all. Interesting. We probably implemented the same. I don't know if there's a rule about this, but yeah, why not? Anyway, so there's lots of stuff in here. I think what I want to have is a function that makes a scalar. And because if you look at the scalar options here, where are they? Struct scalar details, and you see that we can always say use an explicit tag. And the explicit tag is something that the function that we call must know the tag kind. And I think to do that, we should have at least some sort of notion of a tag. And a tag, it can be one of the preset tags, or maybe even an extension tag that has the URL directly. And for now I would just go with the built-in ones that are string, float, int, and I don't know if there's a uint tag. I probably can look it up in the spec, but I could also try it like this. So that works. Uint is not a valid tag. Interesting. It's also interesting to see the range of these things, because right now we are approaching kind of big int territory here, and that seems to be working just fine. So in Rust, this would obviously be different. String index out of range. Look what it tried. It tried to interpret an empty string as int. See, so that's Python underneath here apparently. Anyway, let's have an enumeration that is the tag kind. And for now, I will just, is it a tag kind? Let's call it tag. Pub enum tag, and the first entry shall be null. A tag is metadata to provide information about a value. Built-in tags are specified using the tag, let's put it into monotype, tag notation within a YAML stream. And they are mapped to standard Rust data types by the implementation. In theory, the application can define custom tags to help dealing with any data type. Yeah, but we don't support that right now. For now, it's just about null. And yeah, it's a question. I mean, all the stuff we do here is ASCII, because tags are, let's also link up the respective piece of the spec. And before I get ahead of myself, because there's lots of stuff about that, I'm sure. Tag, that's preview. Representation graph tag, so that could be something I would want to link up here. Yeah, so here it tells you how a tag is composed and what kind of characters are allowed within a tag, and how to handle that stuff and how to handle encoding. And yeah, it's basically ASCII. YAML spec. Yeah, so basically we don't necessarily need Unicode support here. So I'm telling this to myself because I was asking myself just a moment ago in my head how I should, or what I should implement. Should I implement bytes or strings here? And I think I'm going for bytes. Yeah, let's do that. So we have impl as ref for a U8 slice, which is equivalent to a byte string basically. For tag, and then we say as ref fn maybe is a good idea. As ref self returns a U8. That is that. Now we can match on ourselves and just say, well, if we are null, then why don't you return a byte string that says null. And that shall be the tag for us. We are exhaustive, that works. And now we can pass around these enumerations to our upcoming scalar or encode scalar method. The problem that I see already is the same that we had with encode. So we might be in a context where we have our options here for in read-only mode, which means that we cannot use self anymore for write-only mode. So I'm for writing, and we always need to have I always need to be able to mutate ourselves because we have a mutable member, which is our writer, which always needs to be used in a mutable fashion. So to work around this, I have these encode string and encode ASCII functions, actually, because then I can just pass the data that I want. And I think I will keep going for functional style just to work around this borrow checker thing. It's probably not a bad idea either. I don't mind, even though that will make calling the stuff harder because I have to pass in all the information myself all the time, which is kind of annoying. It would be easier or nicer to write if we could just have access to self here, but we can't. Not easily, at least. So fn encode scalar. Let's call it encode scalar. Should we call it encode scalar or write scalar? Maybe encode scalar is what we want because we will do everything, including encoding. So that's a writer here. Oh yeah. So this stuff I also need right away. Where I need right away. Yes, IO result is the only thing we return here. That's the dominant thing to take care of. Here we go with our where clause. Yeah, so that shall be the basic signature so far. So what do we want? We want to have a writer. We need information about, you know what? We could, no wait, what we need information about is about the tag that we want to write here. And we could own that tag because, should we own the tag? Could be a reference, but I'm kind of an ownership guy. And the way I see this is that we will just pass in instances of these variants as we call this function. This is just something we generate on the fly. So ownership, we can pass ownership. And there's, you know, it's kind of an internal thing. It's not even pub. And this is why I can say, well, if we use it in one particular fashion, the signature should reflect that. So I think the tag here should just be a tag that we own. Then we need information about the encoding. This is something we get from the option structure. And this is something we cannot, or we have to reuse. So usually a borrow is what you do in that case. So yes, we need to put in an encoding, but what we also have to put in is information about how to serialize that scalar. So scalar options. Where is it? Scalar structure. Where is it? Null scalar style. Oh, damn it. No, wait, that's okay. Scalar details. That's the one. And I think the null scalar style we have in mapping details. Yeah, that's fine. So for our scalar values, I think we can just use the scalar details, which tells us everything about how to handle this. And the scalar details, that's something that we pass along depending on which kind of scalar we want to serialize. But that's also necessarily a borrow. So that's, yeah. Options, I would go for scalar details here. And finally, we will have, this method here, or this function here, would also be able to, let's do it like this. On the other hand, let's do it like this. That function here would also be able to deal with strings, and strings need to be characters. So I guess we have to use encode str here underneath. So what we need to take is as ref str, which is already here because we copied this from encode string. So yeah, that's what we have to do, I guess. I try to not unnecessarily use character strings here, especially for cases where we actually can just have bytes. Underneath we always have bytes, but this guy here, he will iterate over characters which are 32-bit and which actually have to be parsed. So iterating this, even if you have just UTF-8 encoded stuff, is something that is costly as compared to just assuming that your bytes are in the ASCII range, if you see what I mean. So this is slower actually than it would need to be, but on the other hand, I want to get this to work, and we don't really think so much about optimization. If we would have some encode scalar string and encode scalar. So this would be the encode scalar string thing, similar to what we have here. And in a way, I like it. In a way, I considering we have to split already, we could even carry it through. But I would be afraid that if we did that whole lots of the logic that is already, here we are duplicating logic in a way, and here we are doing the same. So in a way, I would not want to do this. I would rather. I would even consider, depending on how difficult it is to implement this, I would even consider to merge these two and just work on byte strings all the on UTF-8 encoded strings all the time. Yeah, so you'll see about that. For now, I will just go with str here, assuming that the logic will be quite complex in here at some point. Oh yeah, and we only have the writer, which means we have no information about, or we have no formatter here. So there's no control over white space, except for the standard one like spaces or tabs or whatever. Or tabs we don't use anyway, but I'm just thinking aloud here. Because white space is something we don't, or new lines or line breaks is something we don't care about yet. And in fact, if you want to write strings, we need information about the width. Let's have the maximum width of such a thing. So line break style, yes. Where's the width is actually encoded. Oh, that's cool. The width is encoded in the flow style here. There is a U size. The indentation stuff we can't. Oh, actually indentation plays a role for us. A big role. So how does the formatter even work? Is it initialized with a writer? No, but it can be used with a writer. So in order to, I see it coming that we don't only need a writer borrow here, we also need a formatter borrow to make this happen correctly. Even though, interestingly, we know about the maximum width if something is in flow style, right? The flow scalar style is what interests us here. Structure style. The structure style is the block scalar style is what again? Literal or folded? Yeah, and for folded again, we always have the information we need to know what we want within the scalar details. So yeah, we are cool in that regard. But in order to do line breaks, we would need the formatter or some way. Yeah, we would need the formatter here. What else can I say? Because the formatter is the only one who could tell us about line breaks. This would also give us access to options here. And the formatter is the one who keeps track of indentation levels. And indentation is something of incredible importance in YAML, especially if you're in block mode, right? And even in flow mode, we might want to have a way to say, well, we would like to put some new lines here and there. And this is something we can say. We can say in the implementation that we have. But that requires the formatter. So yeah, a long story short, I think we need a formatter as mut. Does it need to be mut? I think so, huh? The formatter needs to keep track of. Yeah, needs to be mut formatter, which also means we need yet another type. Man, can we do this? Yes, we can. And f shall be a formatter. Like this. I think that should be it, yeah? Standard formatter. This guy knows about it. Yeah, so that's how that goes. Huh. Not even the most complex signature here, but I think now we would have all the information we can possibly require to do this. And it's terrible. Making such a call will be annoying. For each scalar, we will have to make such a call. But hey, what can I do? So yeah, let's do it. Let's try to make such a call. I will do this on this side here. Unit something. So here we encode our null value. If we don't hide it, we encode it. And the value style. Yeah, so basically this will now just be our call to encode scalar, and we need a mut self formatter. We need a writer. We need tag null. What else? We need the encoding. So here we go with self formatter. I hope this works because it has it on as mutable, and here we want to read from it. I do hope this works. Don't tell me that this doesn't work. I would hate you. But anyway, we pass on a string, but we are still missing the scalar details here, which are also options. So let's see if that works. Self formatter options, value scalar value details. Yeah, that's the one. And we borrow it. So let's hope that this call has a chance to work. At 23, I'm asking myself, am I so slow? We are 23 minutes in, and I merely added a function signature. Cannot convert to trade object because self formatter is not object safe. What? Ah, damn it. But wait, it shouldn't be a trade object. For good reason. I have made formatter. Oh, I didn't. See, I said I didn't do that. It's generic. Now it is generic. Okay. Good. But it at least tells you method open has generic type parameters. So not all control paths return a value. That is true. Yeah. So now the fun part. Let's have a look at the scalar details. Match opts. And the scalar oh no, wait. If opts struct scalar. So here we have explicit tag, right? So that's the first thing we have to take care of. And also the white space stuff, damn it. Should I just, I have the tendency to just put in a space before I emit anything so that there is some sort of spacing going on here, and that might be the way to do it for now. And I'm not even thinking about line breaks so far. So if opts explicit tag, then we have to put out the tag, which should be as easy as encode ASCII we put in the writer, the encoding, which we can just move along here, and then we give it the tag as ref. And yeah, that is called automatically, right? Because we identify this as an asref u8, and this should just do the right thing for us. So yeah, we will write this, and we also have to write a space. Yeah, and we have the same problem whenever we want to write some surrounding stuff. We actually need two calls here. So you want a space, there you have your space. Jesus. That's expensive. But I leave it to the optimizer to make that fast somehow. And yeah, I think we are kind of in prefix mode. And right now this is really what we want. We always prefix the characters we need. We did that for the document end already, where we prefix it with a new line because we always need a new line. And we do the same thing here. So there's no suffix that would say, well, afterwards we need a space. No. We only do this if we have to. So now we shall match on the scalar style. Match opt scalar style. Oh, it's just called style. And now we have scalar style. Where is the scalar style? Here it is. Now we have, yeah, unfortunately this is kind of a complex match for now. Yeah, let's just add the individual variants here. Block, I don't even want to take care of. Let's call it unreachable. Panic, let's call it panic to do, which has the same effect for us. And scalar style flow. Now we have the width. We can't take anything out of here, right? So we are in borrow mode, so we have to ref this stuff. Width and the flow scalar style. We could have multiple cases. But I think I'm just gonna ref the style match inside here. Something like that should be more sufficient. Flow style. So that is that. Let's go ahead. So this is exhaustive already. That's cool. And in this branch, we will now have to do something. And in fact, the width, dealing with the width statement, something we can't even do yet. So basically, if it's 0, we don't care. And that's a cool thing. So it's kind of disabled then. We could make this a special case, or we have the same algorithm work on it, which just behaves correctly if, the algorithm I see there would behave correctly. Because it has to basically find words within the string we got there, within the scalar string, and break it accordingly. And break it accordingly, which is some sort of folded style. It's one way of doing folded style, right? It's kind of a special case of that. So considering that, we might as well, at some point, once we implement folded for block, we might want to factor this out into a separate function because the algorithm will be quite the same. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that for now, I'd like to have two paths here maybe. Well, let's take care of the flow style first. The flow style will say, well, the prefix or the prefix suffix, right? This should either be nothing, an empty string. Let's just have it prefix, or let's call it indicator is flow style. And now we have a match on this which says flow scalar style plain In this case, it will just be, yeah, we use strings here. It will just be this. Flow scalar style. Single quote. Look what I'm doing here. I'm kind of transforming this one into a string, and if I do this, I can as well impl as ref here and say, well, I want to have a string for you. Flow scalar style. And say if n as ref self produces a string reference. And now once again I match on myself, and this stuff here goes in there. And then I can just say I would like to have a string reference here and convert this in place. You know, I don't even need to do anything anymore. I can just do this. We could have a special case that says if it's plain, we don't do any kind of formatting. But we can also say, yeah, who cares? Maybe we'll see how we implement it. I think I would have multiple paths if width is 0. Otherwise, panic to do. Let's do the simple case first, right? No folding happening here. Then we have a single style is actually this. And this is the double quote. And I'm not sure why I'm saying this, single quote. It's written right there above. So double quote, there we go. And the thing is, if we do double quoting, we also have to, Jesus. So if we have double quotes in there, we have to escape the scalar. Escape the scalar value. There is an escape function here already, somewhere. Escape bytes, but it works on bytes. We could rewrite this to work on characters instead, because that's what we have at the end. So bytes either enumerate. What's the... Interesting. Let's try to understand this. So here we get a static string, a static byte string for the byte. And this is for the continue, basically. I see. Because start is adjusted. So basically, if we didn't escape anything, we just skip ahead. And if we at some point didn't skip ahead, then we will write from start to I everything that has been unescaped so far. Makes sense. And then we write the escape thing and adjust start to do what we do. So escape bytes, do we use this? Oh, escape string just escapes the bytes again. I have no idea if this escaping is what we want. Yeah, escape string, escape char. Oh, a single char, I see. Ooh, that's expensive here. Okay, see, fix me. Anyway, we don't have that right now. And performance is really the least of our concerns right now as well. I could mark up our code just to keep track of possible performance issues, even though at the end we should have to measure this if it's if we think it could be a problem. Yeah. This will not be fast. But if we get 50 megabyte per second, I would already be happy. But we'll see. Yeah, so now we have as ref here, that shall be fine. Where was I? Escaping stuff. So if we are in double quotes, we have to escape things, otherwise we do not. The thing is, we should basically... Oh yeah, and the problem is that we have to write into a writer. In fact, we would need a buffer, because if the string has bytes that need to be escaped, then we need to do something. Then we need to either enforce double quotes or fail with an error. We can't really fail. So I think double quotes are something that we should just enforce. So what we could do is we could write this into a buffer, which is totally compatible to the writer here. Fortunately, we could write this into a byte buffer. Yeah, I think there's something we could do. And then we just encode the stuff. Yeah, so I think if the value, we have the tag kind, right? So if the tag kind is string, or is not, well, should we have a tag that is string right away? Is this also called string? I would like to keep to the, I think it's str, huh? Yeah, so that is that. So here we go. Tag string is b str. Voila. So now we have string styles as well. And I think this stuff only has to happen for strings. And the writer should be, yeah, and we'll have to see if we need to use double quotes or not. So I guess, Jesus Christ. Chars. The problem is we have characters here, which is B and sref str. And lang on str provides the amount of bytes, right? And we know it's UTF-8 encoded. So yes, we can compare that. We can use that to our advantage. Yeah. So basically, in block style, what happens in block style, by the way? What about encoding in block style? Well, let's not think about that. Let's just say we match on the tag here and say, well, actually we are only interested in the tag style if let tag str equals tag. I hope this does not use it or destructure it to the point where it consumes the tag, but I will see. I hope this is the right way to write that. So if we have a string in there, then we need to do the encoding a bit differently. And I guess this should have a return value that says, well, it's either the encoded version and we also want to have the flow style here, a ref to the flow style. And I think in order to make that work, because we need, we might want to override that ref. Damn it, let's try to get the structure. So what I want is this flow style here is something I would want to override. We are just seeing a reference here anyway. So we could say our actual, let's see if that compiles. Let's see how far we get here. And sure, we should want to put out an OK here just for debugging so that we have some return value that makes sense in the branch here. Oh, and not to forget, this must be tried because we want to abort if any of this fails. All this code, amazing, but it's safe at least. Okay, here we are missing a comma. We are 40 minutes in, so I think we should try to, oh yeah, we should try to get the basic structure going and wrap it up anyway. Oh, see, I knew it. So there it starts already, 187. Damn it. This is, I think this is a, actually it's not a bug. I can't do it. But didn't this work before? I thought this worked before. Let's look, because something like it worked before. Cannot borrow self formatter is immutable because it's also borrowed. Ah, damn it. This makes sense. Because options are part of the formatter, and now we get into trouble for this. So I guess one way around this would, one way around the entire hassle with encode scalar and encode string not being part of the serializer. Wait a moment. The formatter needs to be able to at some point output white space, and this needs to be properly encoded. So we need such an encoding function, which is standalone. So I think this needs to remain like that, but encode scalar is something that will never be called by the formatter. So we really want this to be part of our serializer. But to make this work, we need, what do we need? Would it help if we had our own copy of the options? We could copy the options after all. That's not a big deal for us. We could make it clonable and be happy. Yeah, so I think this session will just be about getting this to work within our system here. Right now it can't. So what happened if we wouldn't have the formatter? Then we would shed out, well, we need our own copy of the options. So let's try that. Let's try that out here. Right now, just a borrow checker who hates us. And here we also have use of moved value tag. Tag moved here because, oh, no way. I see. Can I say tag as ref, and then it will just pass on the ref itself and we will be fine? Yes, that works. Good. So let's make options copyable, because then I think I will just get my own copy of the options when instantiating a new serializer. That's, we just do this once, so that's fine. And maybe the options shouldn't be tied to the formatter, so we kind of split it up so that we have one big pack of options, and the options that are relevant to the formatter, which should deal only with white space, they will be passed on separately. So we kind of move the options to the serializer instead. I think that's kind of what I would see here. So where is the formatter? Struct standard formatter. So these options here, right now we only need them for, where is the formatter? Self opts actually accessing this. So just needs spaces per indentation level right now. That's the only thing it needs. So why don't we just, that's a good thing about Rust. It shows you problems with your design, because right now my design is flawed and I kind of suffered from it ever since, and I'm still suffering from it. And now it's time to fix that design flaw. So the only thing we want is spaces per indentation level. I wonder. Yeah, let's have formatter options or something, which right now only consists of, oh yeah, the line break is a formatter option, and the indentation width. Yeah, so let's have an own subset basically. Struct presentation details, and we shall have another one, pub struct formatter options, options defining how white space is handled within the YAML stream. The cool thing is now we have it packed here, and we can basically take out everything that is related to formatter options and put it directly in here. So we have this one big structure. Well, on the other hand, the formatter options, yeah, the encoding is also relevant to the formatter. So anyway, we'll just copy it for now. And let me see how we do it. Oh, maybe I want to have the documentation as well. Line break. Encoding we definitely need as a formatter. And we need spaces per indentation level, which is something... And I wonder if I actually need that formatter. The serializer could do everything. I understand that for JSON, this kind of architecture was good to have. Yeah, I mean, spaces per indentation level is something that is never interesting to the serializer. That's for sure. But it needs to use the formatter to get the indentation right in a way. And that's also depending on the style, whether or not we are writing a block mode or something. So yeah, I think the formatter interface is going to change because we need explicit ways to indent stuff. For block mode, that will be required anyway. Space per indentation level, I took this out of here. Line break encoding. So I have the tendency the line break. I had the tendency to just drop the formatter options into my presentation details. And then, I can pass on the respective options to where they are needed by cloning them. So we have debug. Let's have it debug partial equality. And this guy should have clone as well. And if this one has clone, then line break and encoding needs clone. Enum line break. Enum encoding. Yeah, so that is that. Lots of change, but I think it's a good thing to do this finally. Let's kick this out here. Options indicating. Yeah, interestingly, the encoding also contains information about the byte order mark, but I think it's okay. Let's just formatter options, specify how to output characters and how to deal with line breaks. Yeah, that's basically it, right? Formatter options. So spaces per indentation level. Let's have this here. How do we call it? Format. format shall be formatter options, which shall have space per indentation level, this, and encoding line break, right? It's just the default here. Here we go. So that's the new way of dealing with this. I think I should be able to copy it. Hopefully not copying a mistake of mine. But like this, it could work. And here we go again. Like that. So these are copyable. And now standard formatter with options, default, blah, blah, blah. The options. Why is this? Why are the options a generic, by the way? I mean, after all, it's super clear that we need presentation, we need formatter options, right? This is what every formatter needs to support. So yeah, I think I want to remove this. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that, to be honest. That's formatter options. We will own them. Thus, I will just clone them in there. Default is default implemented. Default is not even implemented for the formatter options yet. We might want to do this real quick. Impl default for, which is cool because that way, do we do anything special here? No, we always do default, right? So this will be our default implementation. Could have seen that before. Formatter options, yes. Fn default shall return a self. And this is all there is to it. That's our default. So now we can simplify this by a huge amount. And say default. Voila. And finally, voila. Much better. Cool. And this one now is just formatter options. Which also means we can just put this guy in here. I mean, you can basically put these together. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah. Do I have self here? Really? That's nice. I didn't expect that at all. Wow, that's totally awesome. Okay, so now we can also make this easier. Hopefully I'm not... Oh, this is why. Now I get it. I didn't... Oh, shit. Let's undo a few things. Because of the borrow stuff. This is why I have the... Oh, man. So, I think I might have helped me a little bit. So that's not the presentation details. That's formatter options now. Because I wanted to have a way to change these, right? And right now, I don't actually need that anymore. Because I'm never going to change the encoding on the fly. So yes... Look how my design. Now I'm done. I have to redo a little bit of work. Look how my design improved just by basically realizing that it was wrong because I got into all kind of ownership issues. That's so awesome. So yes, that's formatter options now, and we own them. Yes. Default. Formatter options. There we go. All good. Much better than before. So now that is not required anymore. Jesus. So bad. I mean, my design has been bad apparently, and now I feel like I'm fixing it. But I also remember how great I thought my idea was to have these, to provide these options. or to implement this borrow stuff, which now is like that. So let's see where we access our opts. No borrowing required here. No borrowing required here. And that should be it already. Sure, the trade still needs adjustments. Trade formatter. I'm not sure if you actually have to pass on or provide a function to give these details, because the serializer has them all and it just clones them in there. So I think if in doubt, we can add this. It's not a big deal. Let's just kick it out of here. Yeah. And now the serializer still references the standard formatter, I guess. And this is something we now want to fix up. So the formatter is just someone who implements this. Standard formatter new. Formatter with options. So where, oh yeah, we do not even get our own options, right? So let's have this. Opts is presentation details. This is actually where we want to have the borrow stuff. All right, this is where we want to have, let's specify it before I forget it again. So this is supposed to be a borrow, where D is a borrow of presentation details. So now it's clear why we parameterize that. And yeah, next time I think I learned from this in many ways, hopefully. So here we have our own options. And the standard formatter presentation details, this is something we don't have anymore, but we have this. We have any writer, any standard formatter, or the standard formatter, and D. Oh, and also let's do it like this, right? I don't know, can we do this? Can I just do it like this? Does this work? I don't know. Oh my god, I'm a bit afraid of all the possible errors that we will now see here, but let's try to keep it together somehow. And yeah, I'm not yet done. There's still a few things that are obviously wrong. So here we have our standard formatter, which will initialize itself. Do you have standard formatter with options? Standard formatter? We do. Okay, so I think what I want to do by default is use the with options thing, because we want to share our options with the ones that are there. We only have, yeah, man. So if this has a default, right, then I wouldn't have to specify that type myself. So this should still be kind of fine. But how do we set our options? Let's think of that. Because right now there's just with formatter and still no way to set the options, which are kind of the most important thing. The formatter is not so important anymore. Yeah. I wonder, do you really want to have a formatter that is, I could remove this for now. I could remove this generic parameter and just live happily ever after with a standard formatter. The formatter only does whitespace anyway, which is depending on the options. So what? Yeah, let's kill the formatter trait. So here we go. So that this can become with options. That's what I was thinking. So the standard formatter is something we always use, but we actually don't use new anymore. We just use with options, I think. And then this just moves one level up because it's now part of this. Yeah. The writer, blah, blah, blah. And we can review this at some point, but no, this feels better to me. The formatter is just a standard formatter. And we will own it. We just set it up ourselves. And considering this, considering we don't allow anyone to set this anymore, we could also do this ourselves, this Cullen stuff. We don't need a separate type for this. But for now, it's kind of our heritage. And if we transform the code to not have this at all anymore, then we might do this in several steps. So I would like to try to get something to compile here, and we are already 1 hour in. And this just doesn't work yet. So let's see if we can get the option stuff, right? So with options, so this formatter thing is also not required anymore. And D is presentation details by default. Damn it. I have the feeling I might be able to put these two together. Even though the borrow presentation details stuff, I'm not sure if this is syntactically correct. Because we preset it, right? Or wait, I think the new might still be separate because we set the type. We set the type up explicitly here. So there, yeah, so with options should take presentation details default. That is that. It just owns them. And now, instead of having a formatter here, the formatter shall be a standard formatter with options. And then we can take the presentation details, which is our D. And D is a borrow of this stuff. Right, and now we can say I want to have a standard formatter. Oh, sorry, here are the options. D. And the standard formatter with options should be having a clone of the formatter options that are in there. So it's options, borrow, and now we go ahead with format clone because he needs his own. And we also want to have access to this from time to time. For instance, when we do the document ending or the end of document indicator. Yeah, like that. First is still kind of something we might or might not know. It's still JSON stuff. But yeah, that's the standard formatter. So this makes sense still. How does it work again? If I know the type of this thing, then I have to specify it, right? So this is now the second type. Do I have to make it equal, or do I just set it up? I think I just set it up. It's in order. So it's presentation details, I think. Or borrow presentation details. Yeah, I think that's the new here. That's kind of how that would work, because the D type is set particularly, and here we are totally generic and work with any kind of borrow that there is, standard formatter, and yeah, the options we want to keep track of, right? Ops is options. There we go. So that works. So the whole game with the options we don't want to forget is that we can own them or borrow them. Both will work for us. And that's the cool thing here. Okay. And now we can basically review all the usages of formatter options, which I think we can just rewrite as opts. Voila. We should probably still review it a bit. See, because now it would try to copy this. It's not, yeah, that makes no sense. Self ops document indicator style. And there we go with self ops encoding. Self ops encoding. Yeah. Like that, like that. So that's, oh yeah, here we go again. That could possibly work. And we split it up. So we would still have the, actually I think now we could even have an encode ASCII ourselves, but as again, the formatter needs the same encoding functions. So we need a function for this. Just as long we have a separate formatter. So if at some point we merge this code basically with the serializer code, which we could totally do, then everything would be simplified in terms of how we call stuff, because access to the right options is then kind of natively available, and we wouldn't have to split it up and do extra stuff to make it work. Yeah, that is that. So fortunately, we are still at the beginning. We only have to deal with these few functions and null. And all this is still very easy and simple. And yeah, so let's look at the rest here. Self opts. Goal is only to make it compile. Self opts encoding, self opts. So yeah, this could end document this worked before, but where's the null? Here it is. So this could now even work. Look, our find and replace did something good for us. This could possibly work now, because now self is not borrowed anymore, is it? Maybe it is. Maybe we didn't win a thing. But if in doubt, I would just clone it or something and give it the values directly. But yeah, let's see. So that should be all the affected code here. And yeah. Self-opt space per indentation level. Let's see how far we get with that. Ah, cool. So that does not work, probably because we shouldn't specify it that way. Maybe we should specify it like this. Because yeah, true, it's not a, well, I don't know. I think this could fix that particular problem. The trait collections borrow is not implemented for the type F. That's true. Where did we even mention the formatter? The trait formatter we want to kick out as well. And F, where do we use it? Here we do. True, that's a D here. That's a D, that's a D. And D shall be, oops. D shall be that. So yeah, that could possibly work. Ha! 999, where do we use it? Encode scalar. Yeah, the formatter stuff. We can just take it as standard formatter for now. And I see this, once everything is kind of merged together, encode scalar could be totally on the serializer, which would help a lot. For now, we just kick out this formatter and use a standard formatter instead. Which might not even work because it's not object safe, huh? I do hope that, that might not work, man. Tell me about it. Ooh, now we get somewhere. intended access of field encoding on type D, but no field with that name was found. Oh, self-opts, damn it. We are borrowed here. Self-opts. Yeah, let's replace them as they arise. Self-ops, borrow, encoding. And then we have self-ops line break, borrow line break. Is there anything else? Document start and end. Yeah, here we go. So now we should reduce the amount of errors here quite a bit. Not so much actually. A field encoding on type presentation details, but no field with that. Oh, the encoding stuff is now in format. True. Let's have another replace then. 1 hour, 10 minutes in. Too long. Format encoding. Yeah, so this code is not, this code is not anywhere yet, and it's already full of, or needs already so much refactoring, Jesus Christ. But eventually we'll get somewhere where this entire architecture is correct, and we can just implement it, in a test-driven fashion. Oh, here's my test, and now I just implement this until it works, blah, blah, blah. But that's where we are not, yet right now. Self-ops borrow line break. This is also part of the formatter now. So let's see. Document indicator style? Oh, well. That's a borrow required. I can't see the light. Self-opts mapping details null style. Yeah, so that's ops borrow. Mapping details null style. Self-opts borrow. Self-opts borrow. And we might still have problems with the borrow checker. Does not implement any method named in scope named end document. Really? That's true. But that's kind of the wrong kind, is it? 920? Oh. Yeah, so sure. That doesn't work at all. To writer, serialize, to writer with options. Serialize with options. So that's just the options here that we take, huh? Is this the signature? I think it should be. We have new and we have with options, and that's really it. Yeah. And I think that's correct so far. Fortunately, we do not repeat ourselves at all, so this should possibly just work now. Works better. Nice. Okay, so byte automark wants to have clone. We might still run into some borrow check issues because I don't know when in the compilation process borrow checking is done. Yay! Look at that. Oops, we test too much right now. Test ser unit, but this should kind of work. Oh yeah, we fail because right now we already put ourselves in here, and yeah, so long story short, this fixed our borrow check issue because now we are a bit cleaner, and I think the only thing I would call this is refactor. Refactor. Sir, what did we do? Presentation options on serializer because he needs them. We split the presentation. Yeah, basically presentation details, it's called, right? Details. Now carry all options. Still carry all options, but options related to white space handling and encoding are now part of the formatter options, which are the only options the internal, let's make it internal, huh? The standard formatter, still pub. Yeah, which are the only options the internal formatter should need. This fixes a few ownership issues. And allows us and prepares the complete removal of the standard formatter to ease the signature of the upcoming encode scalar method, which right now is a function, just because the formatter also which right now is a function that also needs access to the formatter to do any of the white space stuff, which will kind of is annoying. Gee. Yeah, we'll see about that, but I would actually merge it together just to keep it simpler. Yeah, totally. So do we work? Where we don't actually work yet. Let's say encode scalar is currently a function that requires implementation. The latter will be quite complex and thus needs to be done in plenty of steps or sessions. Skip CI. Wow, what a session. Oops, let's put it in. What a session, but I'm happy to have it done finally. Lots of more additional work to do though, so thanks for watching and have a great day.